Welcome to 2023 on the Smallholding. I'm in the barn. If it gets too noisy, I will head outside, but I thought it would be nice to start in here. Lydia's just having a fresh new bed there, and I just wanted to wish everybody a happy new year. And I thought it would be great. It's the 2nd of January now. And I just thought it would be a great opportunity to have a look around the Smallholding, see what everything's looking like at the beginning of the year, and it'll give us a starting place for recording everything as we move throughout the year. We've got some big plans. 2022 was a bit of a dramatic year. There was too much drama for us with all different things. You can go back and look at the videos and things like that. And we are just looking for a calm, peaceful year, growing our own food, raising our own meat, as drama-free as possible, though I will tell you what happened last night on New Year's Day in just a second. And generally just enjoying living here, living off the land as best we can. We've got a few plans that are going to be getting us outside more. For those of you that are new, so first of all, hi, I'm Tracy, one of 4 of us that live here, myself and my husband Steven. We've got 2 kids that live here as well, and a whole host of animals on the Smallholding. Steven and I both work full time as well as run the Smallholding, so everything that we do has got to fit in and around working full time, because we are mortgaged here on the Smallholding. That's the only debt that we've got. We do have to pay a mortgage and obviously the utility bills, etc. every month. We are not off grid. I'd like to be at one point in my life before the end. Steven not so much, because I think he thinks I live in a bit of a dream world in that respect. But anyway, moving on. Let's have a little look what's making all the noise in the barn. Rodney's come out with me. He is determined to get in that tack room and look for rats. Unfortunately, because of all the feed in the barn, we do have a few visits off rats. And Lydia's bed is a multicoloured one at the moment. She's the messiest horse ever, so we tend to leave the sides, which are clean in terms of no muck, and just put fresh bed in there for her in the middle. She's an older girl. She's getting on. Retired now. And then we've got Sonic, our little retired pony. And these noisy little things here. Hello everybody. Hello. These are our lambs from this year. So this is Carol at the back, for those of you that remember, who she came from a different place. So all of the other ones were born here. But Merlin, this one's Merlin. He was bottle raised no, it's not. This one's Merlin. You guys look so similar. He was bottle raised because his mum rejected him, and another one called Dwayne. But unfortunately, we lost Dwayne, so that left Merlin on his own. And we got Carol, who's this one here, and we got Carol, who's this one here, to keep Merlin company. And she has fit right in, haven't you, darling? Hello, sweetie. Hello, sweetie. And then at the back, we've got our pygmy goats, and in that stable there, we've got our 4 ewes. Now, it's not ideal. Rodney, don't eat that. It's not ideal having everything in the barn. From a smallholder's point of view, I would prefer them being outside, living off the land, costing us nothing, because obviously we're having to pay to feed these guys in the barn at the moment. But we just don't have enough land or enough grass. We can keep them in here, keep an eye on them. But the one in the corner is a bit small. Well, it's not too small for them by any means, but from my point of view, I prefer to have the ewes outside and just enjoying living outside, basically. Now, we've also got here, we've got 1 set of chickens inside the barn, because at the moment there's lockdown for, I'll go outside so you can hear me a bit better. Lockdown for the birds because of avian flu, obviously. Come on, Rodney. So we've got birds dotted around all over the place, and we'll see those now. It does make things a lot more difficult, and it's not ideal by any means, but unfortunately that's just the way it is at the minute. We will, in 2023, be reducing our numbers of birds that we've got, because the cost of feed has just gone through the roof. It's super expensive. When we moved here 7 years ago, it was £6 something a bag of layers, not for organic. And now we're paying £10.99, £11 a bag. It's about £11.50 in a different shop, which we sometimes go to. It's just not sustainable. And obviously selling the eggs is no longer covering the cost of the feed, so it's just not something that we're going to be doing moving forward. We'll keep enough chickens just to cover our needs here on the Smallholding. Now, it's such a nice day. I've just come out of the barn. I think what we'll do is head down, take a look at how the field's doing. This here, the car park that I'm walking across, as we call it, is where we turn the horses out in the winter. You might be able to see some of the delves that they've caused from rolling and playing out here. So the horses come out into this space. Sorry about the sun. Well, actually, no, I'm not. It's lovely. It's just a bit bright for the camera. So the horses come out here. We just put a couple of hay nets out for them, and they have an hour out or so each day, and it just gives them the exercise that they need. Because as I say, both of the horses are retired, so they don't get ridden. And to be honest, it's been that bad of the weather, icy, it's not been safe to ride, even if we did still ride anyway. So just down here, we've got the field, which there's nothing in the field at the moment. It's resting. This contraption here, in case it's useful for anybody, is made out of pallets, the longer pallets, and it's actually a creep feeder. So for our lambs, when we have lambs and the ewes take their feed off them, Stephen has just made a small hole that the ewes can't get in, but the lambs can, and all we do is just put a tin feeder in there, and they can go in there and safely have the food without getting hassled. Now this year we haven't had the tup in, which we normally do about November time, and oh, it's actually frosty. So we haven't had the tup in because what we've decided to do, so we've got 7 lambs there, which will be going, most of them, not all of them, will be going to the freezer at some point. I had to take a minute, my hands are getting so cold. I can't wear my gloves and use the camera. So yeah, the lambs will be going to the freezer at some point. So our freezers at the moment are still quite full, too full to put all of the lambs in, and we don't have the time to do those. We will do them at home. I'll put the link below to basically all the rules and regulations that you need to follow, because I often get asked about those. That's for where I am. You know, you need to check out what it is for where you guys are, if that's what you want to do. But we will be doing those at home, and they will be getting processed and put into the freezers. But as I said, there's not enough space in there just at the moment, but we don't even have the time if we did have the space right now. So this is the beginning of January. It's going to be a busy start to the year, and we've also got 3 turkeys, which I'll show you in just a moment. They're locked in a shed, a big shed, obviously for avian flu as well, and they need processing. They would have been done before Christmas, but unfortunately Stephen hasn't been very well, and with work and one thing and another, we just haven't got around to doing those. So we did have 6. I'm to rest my arm now. We did have 6 turkeys, and unfortunately a fox got in to where they were staying and killed 2 of them and injured 1 of them. So the one that was injured, we had to dispatch ourselves, and thankfully we managed to at least save some of the meat. I say thankfully because obviously it's just a waste of a life otherwise. I know some people will disagree with dispatching them full stop, but we grow them to eat, and for the fox to take them is awful for the birds. It's an awful process for that to happen, and it's just such a waste. It costs us a lot of money to raise them as well as to buy them initially. So we buy them at about, I think it's 8 weeks old, 6 or 8 weeks old, past the danger zone, because turkeys sometimes are quite difficult to raise. We've never had a problem with them, but that's probably because we've bought them from 8 weeks old. Anyway, I digress. So this year we have not brought the tup in. We are going to put the lambs in the freezer. They will last us longer than a year from a red meat point of view. And next year, no, this year, because we're now in it, because the tup's not here, we won't be getting any lambs, but we will be letting go of our ewes. So they will be probably going to the freezer themselves as mutton. We will be keeping the ones that we've hand raised and the orphan ones that we've had, but unfortunately we'll be losing those ewes because they've been with us for the full 7 years. They've done an absolutely fantastic job, and it's not fair to keep breeding from them when they're probably at the stage where we should stop. So those girls will be going to the freezer as well. Again, I know it's a bit of a touchy subject, and we will be replacing them later in the year, possibly with ewes in lamb. So that's the plan. It might change, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes, but that's the plan for now for the lambs, the sheep, and I'll show you the turkeys in just a second. Isn't it a beautiful day? Absolutely glorious. This is where I've just been stood filming that. Hi Shadow. These gates are actually stuck closed at the minute. You can see the bolt is out and they're stuck closed because of the swelling, and with it being winter and it's all damp and it's just stuck in the hole. But at the moment nothing's using it, so that's absolutely fine. But yeah, it's an absolutely glorious day. Before I head up, let's have a look at what's going to take up a big part of this year. This is what's left of the growing from this year that kind of got abandoned, multiple reasons. There's a few beetroot left which I'm going to be having a look at. There might be 1 or 2 that we can rescue. I did pull one just there the other day and it seemed okay despite the minus sort of 7s that we've had. There's the odd Sweden thing which are just going to go straight into the compost heap because they've just not worked at all, and then the rest is pretty much weeds and just decaying. There's some carrots, but there's just other bits and pieces. Oh, and there's a few cabbages, so not too bad. We might be able to get a meal out of here. But all of this needs covering in cardboard and compost. Starting a whole no-dig revolution. So this is what I've been planning on, and I'm going to be putting into practice over the next, over the next year really. So hopefully Stephen's going to be able to give me a hand with this, because it's going to be a lot of work on my own, and I'll really appreciate that. This side, funnily enough, is actually, you can see where I did weed at the end of the season. It's not done too bad. So this bed here is doing okay. This bed isn't. This is where we had all of the garlic, and this is just the weeds have just taken over again here. So I'll be putting cardboard down on this. I won't be putting cardboard down on this row here, because that's doing okay. And I put the sheep wool, if you can remember, this here, the white, is the sheep wool that we put down after the sheep were sheared last year, and that did keep some of the weeds down, but obviously there's just loads of leaves and things now, so it's going to be a big job. I'm going to get this started through January and February, get them covered with the manure that we've got. So our compost is just the rotted down horse manure, plenty of that, and we'll just have to keep an eye. I'm going to be doing specific videos on this, so if you're interested, please feel free to subscribe and follow along, either for all of the videos or just for these ones, and I'll keep you posted on how it's going. I must admit, it's an overwhelming feeling, because I know how I felt last year when the weeds just took over. Excuse me not looking at you, the sun's so bright. And yeah, it was kind of got to the stage where I think that's why I abandoned ship, because with everything that was going on, with all of the other dramas that we kept having, and just too many weeds to stay on top of things, that it just, yeah, that's the truth of it, I guess. So this year I'm really looking forward to doing the no dig. So it was Charles Dowding that inspired me to do this. I have tried before, but we didn't do it properly. We just thought, once you've put the cardboard and the compost on, that'll be it, there'll never be any more weeds. But of course, you know, that was very naive of me to think, and hopefully this year we will be successful in the no dig approach. So as I say, I'll keep you posted on that. I'm really excited to do it. I feel very encouraged, very motivated at the moment to get on and do that. And hopefully that's not because I'm sat in an armchair thinking that, rather than being out here. So we'll see. But that's the rest of the plot there. That's where we had the pigs last year. So this year we will be getting pigs again. That's the plan. We need to figure out where we're going to put them, because I'm not sure. We won't be putting them there. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that space yet. It's had black membrane on since the end of last growing season, or since the pigs went, sorry, not growing season. We won't be putting the pigs there this year, obviously, because it's just, there's nothing there for them to forage. I'm just taking in to show the turkeys. There's nothing there to forage, and the pigs ideally would be going on ground to either turn it over or to give them something that they can eat. We do feed them as well, like separate compound feed, but it's nice for them to have something to root through, and just starting on bare ground's not much fun. But we will be planning on getting 2 pigs this year, at least 2. I'd say 3, but Stephen says no, but he's the one who's got to do the hard work at the end. And this is what it looks like for the turkeys. So we have the big old chicken shed, so it's a good size shed. I'm not sure what size it actually is. And in there, I'm not going to go in because it'll freak them out and you won't be able to hear me. In there we have got just straw down for them to lay on or to sit on. We've got some water, and the feed is just around this corner. We do use this shed for the chickens, so there's nest boxes in there for the chickens, because normally when everything's allowed out, this area is fenced off with this Harris fencing, and the chickens can come out and roam around here. Or incidentally, any bedding that comes out, we just lay it on the ground because it just rots down, and it's good for the, you know, for bugs and things like that, for the animals and the wildlife, so I'm fine with that. This is what it looks like on this side. This is our neighbour's land. It's got a lovely stream in it. How peaceful does that sound? Anyway, so the turkeys are in this shed at the moment. We've got loads and loads of molehills here. Don't know if the camera's picking them up, but goodness me, he has been so active. There are 2 boys and a girl, or a stag, 2 stags and a hen in there, and it's really sad them not being able to get out. But what we've done is put this mesh door on and just lent this up against it to stop it falling down, and at least it gets them some fresh air. They can see outside if nothing else, but unfortunately we've got to follow these rules, so that's what it looks like at the moment. And when I go out of here, I just close this door. It's a little bit slippy. I close this gate. Come on, Reddy. Good boy. The fox could climb over this. Unfortunately, this door wasn't, because we've got them locked in there, this gate had been left open. But yeah, the fox could scale over this. but touch wood he hasn't. And those guys are there now. Bless them. Bradney. I'm here I can tell you about the fun that we had last night. My goodness me, New Year's Day, we just settled down to watch some TV. I think it was World's Strongest Man's final. Stephen wanted to watch or something. So sat down. Stephen went out to check on the rat situation and came back in and he said, we've got a problem. And I thought he meant, oh my goodness, the rats have got something or whatever. And he said the septic tank is blocked up. Lovely. So here, this here is where our septic tank is underneath. And unfortunately, so we've got drains covers all the way back up to the house. And unfortunately, it had started overflowing. Stephen noticed it. Now that everything's melted because it's been frozen, and we didn't notice it. Now that sorry, Stephen rang and interrupted me filming. Where was I? Septic tank. Noticed that it was overflowing where it shouldn't be. And now that all the ice has melted and everything, and what a mess. It's obviously got a blockage somewhere. So we've booked now for the guys to come and empty it. We do get that done at the end of January every year anyway, so it was due. But unfortunately something's happened and it's unhappy. You are supposed to kind of not put certain things down, and I do use bleach in the toilet and things like that, and apparently the septic tank doesn't like that. So, you know. Did you just go to the toilet? I'll get this finished at some point. Okay, so bleaching the septic tank's not a good idea. I need to do better, but that's not the reason that it's blocked up. It's just got blocked up basically. So this is what it looks like. So if you're a bit delicate, it's not like disgusting, it's just showing you the overflow, so don't worry. So we've got one drain there and one drain there, and you can see this kind of silty, that's what's flooded out of the top drain. And all of this here, there is a kind of an 8 foot, 12 foot hole in the ground underneath there, and it wasn't totally full, but it was on its way. So yeah, this is where you can see all of the footmarks where Stephen and I were working last night in the dark with head torches on, which was not fun. So that's all sorted now, and hopefully these guys will come out and we'll get it fixed. But that costs us about 150 quid. And again, it used to be £70 when we moved in. I know I keep saying it was like 7 years ago, Tracy, get over it. But things are definitely going up in price more than I anticipated. So I will see how much this is. I'll report back on the next Smallholding video. But septic tank is another thing that when we moved here, never had before. Didn't realise what we would or wouldn't have to do. So it's all a learning curve. And now we need to get this emptied and take care of it until next year, hopefully. I think obviously with everybody being at home as well, and you know, things have been different than they were in the first few years, that makes a big difference. We might need to look at getting it done every 6 months or so. You look bigger in your shadow. Now, up here in front of the septic tank, we've got the ducks. The ducks are also locked in, unfortunately. Every bird has to be locked in. These guys come in here during the day. They don't sleep in here. We just move them on a morning and on a night. Very quick. It only takes like 10 seconds to move them, so not a big problem. They've got their little pond with the hose pipe in that we just keep refilling because they are so dirty. As you can see, I hope you can hear me. As you can see, we do put straw in the floor for them, but they are just beyond dirty, and that needs to go in every couple of days. But they're happy little creatures. And next to that we've got the muck heap. So this is the rotted down horse manure, which is okay for the bed. That's completely rotted down, and you can see the difference between the fresh stuff and the rotted stuff. So the plan of attack for the garden, I need to get all of this emptied basically. I need a big strong man to help me. He'll be home soon, he's out at the moment. And then round here, this is where the ducks live, and this is the orchard, which is nothing doing at the minute, as you can see. I just need to make sure I don't fall over going down here. Super slippy. So the hose pipe that's for the ducks just runs up to the back of the greenhouse through the window and to a tap, which is really handy. And then through this gate is the veg plot. So here on the Smallholding, when we moved in, there was the original veg plot, which is the one to my left now, just over there, raised beds. And to my right, as you guys know if you've been here before, this was just grass, this area, which we've now put raised beds in, and absolutely fantastic. I'm really pleased with those. But then, being me, I wanted to do even more, and that's why we expanded to the paddock down the bottom. In hindsight, that might have been a bit too much to take on, but sometimes there's only one way to do things, and that's to jump in with both feet, and I'm feeling really positive for this year, so I'm not going to dwell on that. The plot at the moment is a disaster though, same as down the bottom, too many weeds, not enough produce, spread myself too thin, and that's why we need a different plan of attack this year, which I will take you through all of that as we move throughout the year, keep you posted on how it's going, the failures, but more importantly the successes, and we'll just see how we get on there. I've been in the shed just the other day. There's quite a few nets here that I'm about to tidy up this morning that were in the shed. I'm not going to keep them in there anymore because they were just taking up too much room and they just kept getting in the way. And the shed's all nice and tidy now, ready for action, basically, ready for what we're going to be doing there over the coming weeks and months. These bushes this year, these are the currants, so we've got a black, a red and a white, were phenomenal. They were amazing, probably because I didn't have to do anything to them. Raspberries, also amazing, and the gooseberries. There are some weeds in here that you can see the grass that we need to take care of, and that's when the disaster starts. The rest of the plot is just a mess. These filderkraut cabbages were really good, and I've got a few of those which look like they might have survived the frost, so I'll be picking those, and if they did, I'll take you along and show you the sauerkraut that I'm going to be making with them. Now this perennial kale though, that is just awesome. I'm going to be taking cuttings from this, and if anybody knows, this has got three kind of, I don't know, stems that you would call it, but they're really big, thick. You need a saw to cut through them. Because this is taken over on the path, can I just chop the two side ones off and leave just the one stem? Would that work, or would I kill it? Because I really don't want to kill it because it's so productive. But you can take cuttings from these, from this perennial kale, so I'll be doing that first just in case I do. And this rosemary, thank you rosemary, it's just awesome, fantastic. We've got a couple of the rhubarbs there and the raspberries, and I'm not keen on those raspberries. If you've been here before, you'll know that as well. What a mess we've got here. These are the Jerusalem artichokes, which are ready for pulling up. There's even a few potatoes left in this bed. They did work, they were my own seed potatoes, but generally we just need to get in here, or I do. We've got a broken fence, more weeds, more shadows. Yeah, we just need to get in and get tidied up. At the end of the day, it's nothing that can't be fixed. This is the first bed that Grace helped me with the other day. She helped me put cardboard down, and she put manure, the rotted manure, on top of that, so that will be ready to plant in. It isn't as oh, it's frozen. It's not as thin, sort of fine tilth as I would like. So what I might be doing is putting some bagged compost on the top of that. But again, that's so expensive now. We'll just have to wait and see. So this is going to be the project for the next couple of months at least. But I really don't want it to become a negative thing. I don't want it to kind of, oh, I don't know where to start, etc, etc. We're just going to start. We're just going to get on with it. We're going to use the no-dig approach. We need some cardboard. Got the manure, the compost, and we are going to grow a lot of veggies this year to go with our home raised meat, and we're going to have a happy, healthy, nutritious family. In the one next to the original plot, that's where we've just come from, in here things are looking a lot better. I've been taking care of these beds. This is where I've been starting off first. A few weeds have come through on this one. There's strawberries that can stay. The weeds will just hoe out, that's not a problem. And the kale in this bed seems to have survived. It doesn't look great, but once I take those dead leaves off, the Tuscan kale, the black Tuscan, and I think these were Portuguese, seem to have done okay. And there's some spinach there that seems to have survived too. And in the polytunnel, we have yet more birds because we need somewhere else to put these girls. So these girls have had fresh straw 2 days ago, but as you can see, they just scratched through all of this. You need some more water. And unfortunately, these are the ones that we're going to have to be selective of. So I'm not sure what we're going to do there, but we'll see. We just can't afford to keep feeding them. It's costing us £30 a week at the moment to feed the chickens, and we're just not getting any eggs. We're not getting any of these ones in here. We're getting a few off the barn and a few off the ducks. So we just can't sustain £30 a week at the moment. When you're getting nothing back for it. If you can sell the eggs and make a bit of a bit of pocket money there, and it can help out, it's worth it. But it's just not, and we need to be sensible on that. So we'll see how that goes. We are now back to the beginning at the greenhouse, which is just behind me. Goodness me, that sun. And I'll quickly show you, we've had a tidy up in there too. So this is what the greenhouse is looking like. I've been taking care of some of those plants that I got delivered in the autumn, so they got repotted on. There's a few more that I just didn't get to that'll probably be okay actually. We've got some chilies that were drying on the actual plants, which I'm pleased with. And then in here, I've just tidied it up so that it's ready for me to come into basically. Those are the garlic that I've got left to plant. I've taken them all out of the husks and the individual cloves that they're ready to plant now. And basically it's just a tidier place to work in because it was getting to the point where I just didn't want to come in because it was untidy. So I'm glad that's done, and this is ready for us to get going as well. And the minimum, it didn't actually get below freezing last night, which it feels like it did. So at the moment it's 23 degrees centigrade, or 23.1. How do I change it? So it's 73F. So not too bad at all. I'm going to close these doors on my way out. Showing you the outdoor kitchen, which is, we actually got started on it again yesterday after the fun of last year. Nothing much has happened since Stephen had his accident out there. They finished off the roof. They being my dad and Stephen's dad helped out because Stephen wasn't allowed back up there for obvious reasons. He broke his back. He fell off the scaffolding on the kitchen, if you don't know. He's fine now, thankfully, and was ready to start again yesterday. So we both did a little bit on that. I'm very pleased with how it's coming along. So this is how it's looking after yesterday. We've got a bit of a tidy up. Stephen's just actually out getting some supplies at the minute, and he's coming in and he's going to start tidying on the space that he was working on yesterday. I'll show you that in just a second, but the structure itself now, we've mostly got the roof done, which is what was being helped out. Did I actually get to finish that sentence? Anyway, my dad and Stephen's dad came and helped out with the roof and got it watertight basically. So that's what Stephen wasn't allowed to do because he wasn't allowed to climb. And we have the structures all solid, all in place. The roof is looking well underneath. I think it looks really pretty. I'll be enjoying hanging onions and garlic and chilies and all good things from that. And this is what Stephen worked on yesterday, cutting this hatch out and then patching up the side of it because there was different holes and patches that it created. And this is going to be the bar area. So essentially, you see this slab of concrete here? That'll become, I think we're going to put a bit of decking on top of it or something to separate it from what will be the new floor. Then this will be a bar area where we'll put the bar stools, and you will sit and kind of look into the bar area there. Now inside here, this is what it looks like in here. So this is my storeroom, which I'll go in just a second. But basically, if somebody sat there looking in here, they can have a drink, chat to whoever's in here. There'll be kitchen area inside. All of this will obviously go. We're going to make a kitchen and bar inside here out of pallets. Very rustic looking, scaffy boards all sanded down, that kind of thing. And basically, you'll be able to look out the window and cook and do whatever you're doing, getting a drink, chatting to Rodney. Hi son. Chatting to anybody who's sat here at the bar and just generally enjoying the outdoor space. And here we will have, in this section here, we're going to have some seating and some cooking. We will use essentially as off-grid as we can. We'll be using the logs and cooking on fire, basically, whatever that looks like. We're not sure what the device will be or if it'll be open yet. And that's just going to take up this area, lots of sitting. In the winter, we still plan on using the area, getting some throws in, nice comfy seats, put the fire on, and just basically being outside as much as we can and just encouraging us to live the outside life as much as possible. Make sure that in here, in this room, it wants to feel as though it flows from one room to the other, and we're going to make sure that in this room, as well as in the space just outside there, there's everything that you can want from a kind of a basic cooking point of view. So primitive, on fire, cast iron. I plan on bringing produce in from the garden and cooking with it straight into here. It doesn't necessarily have to go through the house first. There's also going to be a canning space, so we've got the Camp Chef Explorer, the 2-ring burner, and we'll be doing a lot of canning, if not all of the canning, out here. It just keeps it out of the house and keeps things in an area so you're not having to sort of clutter the house up with everything that you're going to be doing from the garden. And I think it's just going to be a really nice space. Rodney's sneezing. And I just, with all of, you know, can you just picture with the onions hanging down with some nice lights, the garlic, the chilies, and it's just going to be lovely. I can't wait to get out here and just start using it. This room will stay, so this will be stores, and it's got a fridge in Oh, the light's not on. It's got a fridge in, and we've got obviously other bits and pieces. A lot of my ferments go in the fridge so that they're not just in the house. And see how light this is going to be if I walk in. And generally, so I've got my flowers in the buckets, and we've got potatoes in here. It's pitch black in here when the door's closed, so the potatoes are in there. I've got my spare jars, some of my baskets for the garden, and just some cans and jars and things like that. And we've just got some of our other supplies in these cupboards in here. So it's a really good space. It's nowhere near as full as we want it to be. There's the canner, and that's the outdoor griddle type pan that I use when I'm cooking in there. It's just a really good space, but we will be keeping this, and we'll be using and maintaining it as part of the kitchen moving forward. So it's going to be great. That's the only bit that's not off grid. We'll be having the fridge. I'm okay with that. And we're back to the house, which is where I started, not necessarily with you guys. We started out there with you guys. Stephen is going to be back any minute now, and we've got some work to do out here. He's going to tidy up this mess that I mentioned, which is just down here, so you can actually see what he's working with, and he's going to need a hand off me doing some of that. So I'll get some footage and I'll add that on to next month, and you can follow us along on that journey if you're interested. But before we get started, I'm going to cook us some lunch. I've got some bacon out. We're going to have a fry up, if that translates. I know on some channels people have said, what's a fry up? But just some bacon and eggs basically, and some other mushrooms and tomatoes, and a good hearty midday meal to get us going for this afternoon before we start on the next jobs. So thank you for joining me. I hope you've had a fantastic new year and you continue to do so, and that this one is a peaceful and everything that you need it to be kind of year. That's what we're hoping for. Lots of plans. I haven't told you all of them just because I haven't remembered them all as we're going around, but do stick around. It's great to have a community of people that we've already built up. I think we're on like 1,800 subscribers or something now, which I know is a drop in the ocean for many channels, but I think it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you for being here. If you join us on Patreon as well, thank you for that. I always forget to mention that, not because I don't appreciate it, just because it just doesn't pop into my head. So thank you for those guys of you. So thank you for those of you that support us over on Patreon as well. It's great to see you over there, and hopefully we'll get something else on that forum this year, but we'll see how it goes. Right now I'm off to do that cooking, and thank you for joining me on the first tour of the year of the Smallholding. See you next time. Bye for now. Annie, come on. Annie, come on.